everybody, it's Becky. Welcome back to my channel. In honor of Valentine's Day, I thought it'd be really interesting to share with you guys how I have ruined pretty much every single relationship I have ever been in. So whether you're single and you're still on the journey to finding the right person, or you're married and you're already married but you just kind of want to hear some of my experiences and how I ruined every relationship in my life previously, I thought this would be a really perfect time to share this with you guys. These are all things and all ways that I have basically sabotaged my previous relationships, and these are things that I try to tell my girls and help my girls to understand so that they will maybe avoid some of the same mistakes that I made when it came to dating and trying to find the right person to spend my life with. So obviously every single relationship that ended wrong or ended at all was not my fault. There were some pretty dirty things that happened along the way with some of the guys and some of the way they treated me, but my approach to dating and my approach to trying to find that person was all wrong. So this video is 5 ways that I ruined every single relationship that I was ever in. And the first one and the biggest one is not putting God in the center of our relationship. I don't know why. Just because I was young, that doesn't mean that I shouldn't have tried to put God in my relationship even way back then. Obviously now being married, of course I want him to be the center of our relationship. But even if you're not married, even if you're just dating and you're a Christian, you should have God at the center of your relationship. And if I had have done that, I think our relationships that were the relationships that could have been meant to be would have flourished and gotten stronger instead of just fizzling out and having relationships with people who wanted different things and didn't have the same necessarily belief system as you. That would have been so much easier to do that, to put God in our relationship, to make him a part of our lives, to do devotions together, to pray together, to talk about how God is part of our lives now and how we want God to be in our relationships, in any relationships that we have in the future. Doing that is such a simple thing that would have made all the difference in my dating life, and it would have weeded out tons of these duds that I dated trying to figure out if they were the right guy or not. I would have known pretty much instantly if I had put God in our relationship and made him a priority, and if the guy was wanting to do that with me, then that's a good sign. But I didn't do that, and so many relationships ended after wasted months because I realized they were not the kind of guy that I'd want to be married to or have kids with. So again, putting God in my relationship, whether I'm dating or engaged, would have been the most important factor and the most important thing I could have done and should have done to avoid all of these relationships that just ended because they were not with the right people. The second thing I did wrong was I didn't pray for God to send me the right person. Instead, I selfishly and stupidly prayed for a certain specific person. Like, I want to marry so-and-so. I want to be with Tim, or I want to be with Nick, or I want to be with John, whoever these people were. I was praying for specific people instead of praying that God's will would be done and he would send me who he wanted me to be with. I wasn't putting God in the equation at all. I wasn't asking him who I should be with. I wasn't asking him for guidance to find the person he wanted me to be with. I was just stupidly praying for one specific person and hoping that he would answer that prayer. When come to find out, the people I was praying to be my person that I married or whatever, they weren't people that I should have married. And God knew that, so of course he didn't answer those prayers. And I would get annoyed because I was like, why are you not answering my prayers? Why can't I be with so-and-so? It's because that person was not who God wanted me to be with. But because I was dumb and young and naive and selfish, I'm praying over here for what I want instead of asking God what he wants, who he wants me to be with, and to help me find that person. So that's just a shift in your mentality and your prayers. It's a small shift, seemingly, but it's a huge shift, really, because it really changes your life from making it where you're in control of your life and realizing, accepting, and appreciating and honoring the fact that God should be in charge of your life and you should be praying for what he wants rather than what you want. The third thing I did wrong was I made every single relationship that I had all about the guy. I made myself way too available, and I just didn't keep up with any of my interests or any of my other relationships really with my friends. I would just devote every single moment of my time to this person, this guy. And then every single time he would use me and take advantage of me for that. It made me look desperate and it made me look pathetic. And then when the relationship ended, I had nothing. I had no friends. I had no hobbies, no interests. And so my whole world basically would crash down and burn every single time a relationship ended because I had made my entire life about that relationship. So I try to tell my girls, and I hope that they learn this from me, that it just makes you look, I hate to say pathetic and boring, but it really does. If you drop everything in your life for this person, this guy, they tend to use you for that. They tend to take advantage of you for that. And that's exactly what happened to me every single time. I made my entire life about the relationship with this person and dropped everything else. Every single time that guy would take advantage of me and use me, and over and over and over. And it took me so many times to learn that. I mean, why did it take me so many breakups to realize this pattern? So I hope that my girls will learn that from me, and I hope you guys will as well, that you do not need to drop every single thing in your life just because you're in a relationship. You can definitely spend time with them and love them and appreciate them and be with them, but you still need to have interests. You still need to have hobbies. You still need to have things that you like to do that are for you. And you still need to have your friends, because you don't want to have to give up that, because then if the relationship ends, you'll be just like I was, where your relationship is over and you have nothing else in your life to show for it. Fourth thing that I did wrong to ruin every single one of my relationships was to not listen to my mom often enough. Every single thing that I can think of that she ever told me about guys and dating that I did not listen to turned out to be right. And I hate to say that, because as a mom, you realize, and I'm sure you guys have realized this too if you're a mom, pretty much everything your parents told you was true. And when you were younger, you thought, they don't know what they're talking about, and I'm never going to say this to my kids, or I'm never going to think that and tell my kids this, and then you do, and you realize that your parents were right. And not always. Parents aren't perfect and they make mistakes, but they are older, they've lived through a lot of these things, and a lot of times what they tell you is true. And my mom told me not to make every single thing about a guy. She told me all these things, and I did not listen to her. And if I did listen, it wasn't enough. And the fifth way that I ruined pretty much every relationship that I was ever in was not realizing that guys and girls are really on their best behavior when you first start out a relationship. And if they don't treat you well, it's not going to get better. If they don't treat you nicely while you're dating, they're not going to treat you any better when you're engaged, and they're definitely not going to treat you any better when you're married. So everybody is all sweetness and sunshine and rainbows probably in the beginning of your relationship, but it's who they show you over the course of weeks or months. Who they become and who they are the most often is who they really are. You know, if they're nice in the beginning and they really pay attention to you and they're sweet and thoughtful and blah, 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 everything's wonderful. And then if they turn on you and they stop paying attention to you, they don't answer your phone calls or your texts, they only want to be around their friends and not spend time with you, and they aren't making you a priority in their life, then it's not going to get any better, and they're not going to start doing that later on down the road. So don't waste time waiting around on this person that you think, well, they're nice because they were nice when we first started dating. No, they were just showing you who they wanted you to see, but this is who they really are. And don't waste time waiting around for them to be nice to you. If they're not nice to you now, they are not going to be nice to you later. And it's probably only going to get worse, because they're going to try less and less to impress you as time goes on. So it's time to end the relationship. If they are not nice to you and kind to you and think about you and make you a priority now, they're not going to do that later. You cannot change them. They can only change themselves. So don't waste time on relationships like that. I have done it way too many times, and it always turned out badly. And I kept thinking I could change them, or my love would change them, or they would come to see how important I was in to their life. No. Don't do that. It's a waste of your time. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I realize it's kind of a strange video to put up on Valentine's Day, the day of love, but I learned a lot of things about love and relationships as I've had kids, and now I'm trying to teach them about finding the right person. I've realized all the mistakes that I made growing up and dating, and I just think that it's good to know, it's good to be able to see your mistakes, because then you can learn from them. And so these are definitely a lot of the mistakes that I made over and over and over and over again in pretty much every single relationship. These are not necessarily reasons why the relationships ended, but it's definitely at least part of what was wrong with the relationship anyway. You know, not putting God in it, not listening to my mother, not having enough respect for myself to not make everything about the guy. You know, all those things are mistakes that I made that I'm trying to keep my girls from making. So I thought I would just share with you guys, since it is kind of about love, to throw it out there on Valentine's Day. I hope it was interesting and helpful for you guys. If it was, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not already, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.